Welcome to the FLIPSIDE Crypto Interview Series. Joining me today is Donald Bullers and Lorena Bright from TUUM Technologies and MISSION89. Welcome.
Thank you for having us.
Now, first of all, we wanted to begin with exploring how did this partnership come about? How did TUUM Technologies, a technological firm who offers Web 3.0 solutions, and MISSION89 come together?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and start, Lorena, and then if you want to follow up. So TUUM Technologies works with the cryptocurrency project Elastos. And Elastos is unique in the sense that it has its own DAO. So we have a decentralized autonomous organization which is functioning by the community. And one of the community teams, Elastos Orchard, took it upon themselves to begin this relationship. And they worked with MISSION89 long before us and did a lot of the legwork and the planning of this whole project ahead of time. And then it got to a point where a team that's familiar with Elastos technology needed to step in and help with the technology side of it. So it went through our DAO and it was handed off to us through a vote of the community. And it's a really awesome process.
So that's insightful, Donald. And Lorena is part of MISSION89. And Lorena, could you just explain to us what is MISSION89's main goal?
So MISSION89 is a research, education, and advocacy NGO based in Geneva. And we're the only organization that's tackling the very specific risk of trafficking in sport. Our main objectives are to raise the visibility of the issue, as well as to advocate for regulations and policies that will safeguard the movement of young people from wherever they are to wherever their destination, their desire is to play professional sport.
Very interesting. And why did you need such an advanced technological partner? And why did you need blockchain in general to combat human trafficking? Could you elaborate on that respect?
Yes. So, a lot of the activity, recruitment and grooming takes place these days, especially because of COVID and all the restrictions, takes place on social media, and there are very minimal safeguards on these platforms to protect young people. So the technology that we aspire to create with TUUM Technology will ensure that these safeguards are in place, and in putting in place these safeguards, we will ensure as well that young people are connecting with agents and intermediaries that are well-meaning, that, for example, have the proper certification, whether it's child protection training, that they are registered, for example, with their national associations. So just ensuring that they're the right people that children can feel safe and protected with.
It's a very important mission, and also utilizing blockchain and just showing governments and people in general how blockchain could be used to combat such a serious issue. Donald, could you please elaborate from a technological perspective? What was the challenge and how was it implemented with MISSION89? Could you elaborate on that part?
Yeah, so we're at very early stages of building out this application. So let me go back to expand more on why we're building on Web 3 instead of the current Web 2 that we all know exists. So there's problems with the internet. The way it's structured currently, everyone has between 70 and 80 usernames and passwords. So you use that all across the internet. Each of these are owned by the application or website that you are using, and there's no interconnectivity between those. So you're basically allowing your identity online to be owned by these different platforms. So what that also does is it opens a door to modification of your behavior on these platforms. So whether that means forcing you to join specific groups based on the advertisements that are shown, or in Facebook, for example, it could kind of manipulate the way that what you see on your feed and who you're affiliated with. And there's a lot of problems around that. So the way that the current internet is structured is not going to work out in the long run. So we're going with a Web3 structure where you empower the individual, and it starts with your digital identity. So this can only be done with the blockchain technology that we provide, which Elastos provides in an open source way. It's self-sovereign, so you don't have a government, you don't have a corporation that's telling you, this is your ID, we own it, and here's how you're going to be able to use it. Every individual on the application that we're going to build, and any app that uses Elastos decentralized identifiers, can instantly create an ID for themselves. So they create it, they own it, they have complete ownership of what that becomes. And so what that can become is you can have verifiable credentials, which means that you can have all types of data that is verified to your ID, and you can use that across the internet. So in this case, with an application like this for sports and combating human trafficking, each individual, whether it's a player or an agent or an organization, will have their own ID. Then they can each have their own certifications, whether it's an agent that needs to have specific certifications to be able to communicate with these players or be a part of these organizations, that will be assigned to their ID on the blockchain. And then if players want to verify that their other teammates are their actual teammates, peers can verify each other. So there's a lot that you could do. And the main piece that we're really focusing on is a decentralized identity and having the verifiable credentials. There's a lot more you could do with Elastos tech, but that's where we're going to start. We want to make sure that the relationships among these parties is verified, owned by the individual, and then they can use it however they want.
It's exciting technology, but also now with a very noble effort. And I'm just like to focus on Mission 89 a bit. Lorena, could you expand upon what is the exact scope of the problem? How serious is it? So we may highlight how blockchain is helping to solve a real pervasive issue.
So data, as far as numbers of trafficking victims, not just in terms of sports, but in general, is always a problem, because we're talking about hidden populations, and there are many people that are being trafficked that have no idea that they have been trafficked. And so, and there's very little reporting. There is a figure that is floating around, which is that as much as 15,000 young people, children from West Africa, move to Europe in order to pursue a footballing career. I think that number is way more, for the very same reasons that I mentioned before, because there are very few cases that are reported. And so what this technology again will do is to create a footprint of these, 15,000 plus individuals. And when I say 15,000, it's only from a small region. We can also look at, the movement of baseball players, for example, from, Dominican Republic and Venezuela, all trying to get to the US and into the Major League Baseball. But what this technology will do is to create a footprint so that when they arrive, from the moment they leave their countries of origin to the moment where they arrive at their destination, there is, there's a footprint of, where they've been, who they've been in contact with, the organizations that they're affiliated with, and most importantly, the agent that is, that is responsible for them.
Yeah, I really hope you succeed in your mission in actually diminishing these really sobering numbers of trafficked children. Of course, it's exciting that blockchain is actually applicable in real world issues. And I would just like to focus on the flip side of this whole issue. First, starting with Donald, what are the issues that TUUM and Elastos actually have in trying to combat this issue from a technological point of view?
Yeah, so going back to what I spoke about previously, the major issue is how the internet's structured today. So it's a huge thing that we're trying to do here by basically changing the minds of how everybody utilizes the internet. So the biggest mission with TUUM Technologies is we're trying to make Web3 easy to use. So what does that mean? It means that with these applications that we're building using blockchain technology, we want to make them in a way where you don't even know that you're using blockchain technology. You're simply turning on an application or a website like you normally would any other way. The one piece that is a requirement is that individuals are in control of their identity. So that means that they have to keep their seed words, like is known in much of blockchain. Once you take custody of that, you have the responsibility of owning it yourself. So that is one difficult thing that we'll have to combat, because people will have to understand that, you know, you can't just simply ask your website to give you a new password or a new login, because you are in control of that. So that's one of the difficulties of using Web3, but we'll get past that. With any type of technology, what we're going to run into with this application is awareness and adoption. So that's why it's great that we're working with MISSION89. There's other organizations that are interested in what we are doing. And I think that we will, as we get the MVP produced, have the ability to get more parties involved and to get this out there, because not only is it going to help combat the human trafficking component, but also it gives everybody in the sports arena an identity that they can own and they can use in other ways. So there's a lot of things that we can do with what we're building.
Amazing stuff. Quite frankly, I use stuff because Web 3.0 is coming. It's coming slowly. We are trying to educate people on this show every single day that the world is changing right beneath our feet. And it's exciting that we're able to basically be right at the beginning of this change and see it as it happens in real time. But also, circling back to Lorena and MISSION89, what challenges does MISSION89 face daily?
The challenges that we face are very much linked to our three core areas, which are research, education, and advocacy, right? Because as I mentioned before, data, everybody's looking for data. Data is king. It's just not there because of the type of population that we're working with, and even more so because we're working in the sport environment, which already is very insulated, you know. So it's an environment where, you know, people, it's very closed. And reporting, even in the best instance, you know, isn't always isn't part of the culture. So we need data, and for that we're working with different partners, Loughborough University and other, you know, Istanbul Bilgi University as well, a number of academics to secure that data. You know, education is key, and the approach that we have taken to that is, you know, we need to educate the different stakeholder groups, because this is a multi-stakeholder issue, right? So yes, educating youth, raising awareness, that's important. At the end of the day, we need to also educate law enforcement officers, police, because it's a criminal activity, and because they need to be aware of the sport context in addressing, you know, human trafficking. You know, we also need to educate as well sport organizations, because, you know, for as many well-meaning regulations and policies that they might put in place, their core work is not to, you know, it's not child safeguard. Yes, they have to protect, obviously, their athletes, but that's not their focus is on developing athletes, buying, selling, right? So we need to educate them. And taking into consideration what their actual mandate is and what the environment they're working in. Advocacy, that's a huge challenge, because there's not enough regulation, properly devised policies in place. But we think that once the data starts to filter in, and we're already starting to see that, you know, with all these trainings that we're doing, with the awareness raising. Just earlier I mentioned we had a webinar with the Premier League and professional clubs in Europe. You know, now that this topic is becoming part of their consciousness, that will drive advocacy, will make them look at policies that need to be revisited or adapted accordingly. So
I think today we struck a good balance between, for the viewers at home especially, between technological excitement, how technology can help, and that it's applicable into real world issues. I would like to kindly thank both Lorena and Donald for joining us on the FLIPSIDE interview. And if we want to learn more about Mission 89, where could we do it, Lorena?
Well, please visit our website, mission89.org. Also today we launched, our online repository. So it's the first of its kind one-stop shop resource center. So the media or academics no longer need to send me an email. You can go on our website. It should be on there within the next, 24 hours, maybe, hopefully. And learn more about our issue and how to advocate and support it.
Fantastic. And Donald, how may people learn about more applications of what could Elastos and TUUM technologies could do together?
Yeah, first I just want to echo what Lorena said. Please look into Mission 89. It's a great mission that they're working on. So beyond that, if you do want to look into TUUM technologies, the best way to keep up with us regularly is on Twitter, and that's TUUM, TUUM Tech, or you could go to our website, tuum.tech. And then beyond that, any developers or technologists that are looking into this open source technology for Web3, certainly look into Elastos, ELASTOS. That's the project and the technology that we're using. It's got an open community, the DAO that I spoke about, and it's just a great base for building on the Web3. So we're using it in our applications, and I invite everybody else to do the same.
Fantastic. I cannot thank you both enough for joining us today. We'll help spread the word. Everyone back at home, please do the same. This has been the FLIPSIDE interview. Thank you for watching.